those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen. Nerds International proudly presents.
We want to take you on a quest for knowledge. One that will take us from ancient medieval fantasy across the far reaches of space to the distant future. To many savage worlds.
Welcome to the Wild Die Podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to pinnacle entertainment savage worlds aimed at beginners and veterans alike. What's going on, Lamroo? What's happening, buddy? I haven't seen you in like a whole day.
I know, right? This is No Sleeves McGee, back from Con on the Cob, where I spent the most memorable 4 or 5 days with Gary and a bunch of the Nerds International. So that's what's going on here. Saw you yesterday. Well, yeah. Day before, because you left really early Sunday morning, so that was too bad. How was the flight back? I heard alcohol and flying doesn't go too well with you.
I was moderately hungover. It was a little queasy. Once you're up in the air, it's all right. But it's that takeoff and landing, that jolt where you start going, where you're like, and then on the way down, like, the 2.5 hour layover. And I don't even remember. I don't think I ate anything all day. I don't think I ate until I got home because I just couldn't. I had a bit of a nap, and then I woke up, and there was a man dude sitting across from me. It looked like a lady, face of a lady, body of a man, but it was definitely a man.
Was this me?
Looked at it. No.
So yeah, we all had a great time. We did play a little bit of Savage Worlds, but yeah, mostly it was non-Savage Worlds. So that's why I guess we won't have that much to talk about it. Maybe later in the show we're a little bit pressed by time, so we're gonna go on with the topic for today, which is our top 5 settings. And yeah, and then if we have time, we're going to talk a bit more about Con on the Cob, the Savage Worlds game we played. This was the first time for Gary at a convention, and it was quite obvious. He had, especially drunk, the oh shiny syndrome. What's going on over there? Who's that person? I think he knew everybody by the time the con was over. Let's put it this way. Right, Gary? Could you make a list of everybody you met?
Shannon McLean, she worked the front desk. There was Mo. Mo is the guy that discarded the
Okay,
pizza
we
box.
don't actually want a list of everyone. Right, stop. We're cutting that off. I'm cutting that off right there.
I think the one time that I stepped overboard was when the pizza guy came in the front door, and I pretended like it was my pizza, but I hadn't ordered pizza, and I bought pizza from him, and everybody was like, "We're not eating any of that pizza," and I'm like, "Come on, hurry up! We got to eat this before the guy that owns the pizza shows up." So yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he's got this box, and he's like, "Come on, Eric, have a slice." And then the other guys around me are like, "It's not even his pizza. He just the delivery guy just showed up, and Gary's like, how much is that?" He said $5, and then he gave him $5 and took the pizza.
I quickly disposed of the box, and we all, like in a drunken stupor in the main lobby, had some sweet-ass pizza. I came through for the fellas.
Look, we best not talk about this on the podcast because Gary's going to get arrested for stealing pizza. But today, what we're doing is we're going to go through our top 5 settings for Savage Worlds because, you know, we all like Savage Worlds and we all like a good setting. Do we not, lads?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Good. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through those today from our 5th setting to our 1st setting, and we're going to talk about why we like them, why they're so special to us, and we're going to go through those because we think it'll be really interesting. Hopefully, the listeners will learn about settings they didn't know about, or perhaps learn and our thoughts about why, you know, they're so good or something like this. So hopefully this will be interesting, and if it's not, sorry.
Okay, time now to make a list. Listen carefully, cause here comes the gist. Top 5 Savage World settings in the world. Oh, gather round, peasants, for the list to be unfurled.
Haha, yes! My mother said I would never list my favourite top 5 Savage World settings, but look at me now, you bitch! Ha 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 ha! What a day! Get me a rum!
Yeah, top 5 settings. That was a tough one. I basically played, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 different settings since I started. I wanted to sample everything, so when it came down to coming up with my top 5, I had to ask myself what makes the top 5, and it's basically the ones I go back to the most, or I've played for an extended period of time. And I stuck with the official ones or licensee settings. I see some of you guys have picked fan settings, which is fine. In that case, my top 5 might have been different. But, well, we do the honorable mentions first.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Solomon Kane, I only played it a couple times, but the book is gorgeous. The setting's really interesting, and I'm a big fan of dark fantasy, so this hit the spot. Then, yes, Gary, 50 Fathoms. It's got to give it to you. It's a good setting. So, and the plot point campaign is just amazing in there. So, I had to pick that one, and then a gift present because it was my birthday over the weekend, and Gary bought me an awesome present, the Lankmar box set. I had the PDF prior to that, but now I have the actual books, and yeah, these books are just gorgeous. And I'm a big fan of the stories from Lieber, Fafford, and the Grey Mouser, so that's really good. And finally, I'm not much of a sci-fi guy, but Nemesis hits the spot for me with sci-fi kind of Lovecraftian type of horror in there. I like that. So, and then number 5, that will be Hellfrost, because I played quite a bit of Hellfrost. But for me, the fantasy part of it, it's got a lot of range to it. There's a lot of material, so much freaking content for that. So I had to use Hellfrost. And number 4, Actum Cthulhu. Yeah, I don't know, I just like it. We played, I think I played 2 games, but I still like the depth of it. The mix, World War II and Lovecraft in there is just, it's well put together. Number 3, Winter Eternal. I mean, that's kind of shameless plug, but the fact is, I've ran quite a bit of it. I've written for it, and it's in my top 3 because I find that when you read this book, it's easy to find story seeds from what you read in there. The way Mornay writes, it's just easy for me to come up with ideas for adventures. So yeah, that's the main reason. Number 2, and that's probably the game I've played the most, well, second to most, and that's Deadlands. I mean, we all know Deadlands. It's the flagship setting for Savage Worlds, probably the most popular of all the settings. And what I like about it is, again, the range, because you can play it straight, just Western, or you can play it full, scary, very deadly, and you can play it with some steampunk element. You can play it with supernatural elements too. So that's why you could play just that game your whole life and never run out of published adventures or ideas to run adventures with. So that's it. And number one, I mean, everybody who knows me knows it's Beasts and Barbarians. I'm a big sword and sorcery fan, low fantasy. This just hits the spot. It's a great read of a book. Sometimes some settings or RPGs, I find it's hard to read. It's not the most interesting and captivating material you can read. But this one, just reading the Gazetteer, all the books of lore, and also because the rules are very close to just vanilla Savage Worlds. You've got 2 or 3 minor tweaks, which are setting rules from the Savage Worlds Deluxe books, and then the other one, which is the after the adventure setting role, where you deal a card, and that's what happened in between adventures, carousing, and that type of thing. That's the only setting rules. Besides that, really nothing really changes how the rules work fundamentally. It just stays the same, so you can go from one setting to another and still know how to run this book. Some people like a lot of crunch to it, which is fine. If you're gonna run just one setting, then you can really dig deep in there. But there seems to be this tendency with new settings where people add way too many setting rules, and I don't know. I don't like learning too many new setting play, because I'll just forget them while I'm playing, while I'm running the game. So that's it. What about you, Gary?
All right, so my turn. Number 5 has to be my own personal setting, because I don't have to read anything. GarTar, right, gentlemen? Harrison,
Yes.
you played it.
Yep, I love this.
The nice thing that I like about GarTar, it's not a setting, it's not available. It's just this stupid thing that came up in our Shintar, and Hellfrost versus episode. And at the end, I was like, how about my world, guys? That's just hot, big-breasted women, and beer is really what it is. And then other than that, it's anything that you want it to be. You don't have to read anything, which is super cool because there is nothing to read. You just have to come up with your stupid ideas and away you go. So there really is nothing to say about GarTar. It's just a dumb creation. But we did have a wicked space game where we went for an adventure, got some dilithium crystal meth. And you guys played some of the most amazing characters ever. Bone Train with his jugger beer thing where you're splashing people.
Yeah, he was a skeleton with an Uzi, gangster skeleton.
So in preparation recently for, I know this isn't the ICRPG podcast, but I did go back and listen to that episode of GarTar, and I don't know if you guys remember or not the whole spiel where you guys were singing as a group for Benny's.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. If you listen to that episode, you can find it on the Twats. It's way back in like January of this year. Harrison edited it all together, and holy crap, there's some moments in there where it's just like there's just some epic stuff going on. It's phenomenal. We're singing and doing all sorts of ridiculous things.
I'll put a link in the description.
So because it's my setting, my world, I can make it what I want. I got to put it in there as my top 5 settings, but it's really just because it's ass and junk that it kind of goes last. Saga of the Goblin Horde, number 4. I also have started putting this into Tabletop Simulator. So I've gone through a lot of the material. It's one of the better, well-read settings that I've gotten into. I have all of the artwork in game, some of the stories and whatnot, the maps and stuff. Everything's linked in one world. So I actually have like a one world Saga of the Goblin Horde. And if my summer just didn't go off the hook, I planned on starting the Saga of the Goblin Horde campaign inside of Tabletop Simulator, because I had basically like so much of it done. But hopefully, it's sitting there. It's on the shelf, and I'm going to get to it. One of the things that I like about Saga of the Goblin Horde, not only is it like sort of the best and most well-polished free material that you can get from a member of our community, it's so well put together. And the cool part that I like about it is that you have minions, and you can have your minions go do stuff, so you don't always have to take the hit. The one adventure we played, we had to go through the swamp, and you could sacrifice your minions or whatever to get successfully through the swamp by stepping on their heads. It was like, that's a really cool idea, man. It's awesome having like 6 guys that you could just send off to do stupid things with. But yeah, I'd have to say that that's probably Saga of the Goblin Horde is probably like, out of my top 5, it's one of the settings that I know the most. Now Low Life, I'm familiar enough with it to know what it is, and this is no like blow smoke up your butt because I just came from Con on the Cob. Low Life was probably my first purchase. It was the book that I bought before I ever even got into Savage Worlds and playing it, because it just looked so good. And then I didn't really realize at the time also when I had bought this that Savage Worlds is like just a core setting, and then there's a bunch of different systems and stuff. So I thought that maybe like Low Life was like the Savage Worlds thing. It was the setting that you go into. It looks super cool. So yeah, I'm heavily invested in that. I got a lot of books and stuff like that. What I like about it is that it's not your coming from Dungeons and Dragons. And I've said this before, everybody owns the player's handbook. When you send a rust monster at a person, everybody knows what happens. That's not what happens in Low Life, because you could be attacked by like a crumb from a potato chip that's mutated into something. There's so these weird little goofy like ichor monsters and bubblegum and Twinkies, and his artwork is just amazing. So yeah, I'm putting Low Life, sliding that in at number 3.
Did you buy the book at Con on the Cob too, the new one?
I not the new one, because I have the original one. The new one is I talked to one of the girls there, and she basically said the new book is just sort of like a rewrap with all the content. It has some new pictures in it, and I have my original one, so I didn't go with the new one, but I did check out.
Did you get it signed? Did you get it signed by Andy?
Yep. Excuse me, I'm a little phlegmy today. Hopefully you can cut that out. Can you see this, Emerson? Oh, my camera went off.
Yep.
Another issue that I got with my stupid ass camera. Let's see if this turns me on. Check it out, dudester. I won't hold it sideways, but this is the adventure deck.
That's
but
too
it's called
cool, man.
Adventure deck, right?
You know, I love an adventure deck.
Yeah.
And his artwork is so cool as well.
Yeah, these are just cards that have like little black and white sketches and stuff like that, but still very cool. He has a card game that you can get that's really neat too, but we're not.
He has like 3 of them. Yeah.
It's me and Steph and Dragonspawn played it. It was really cool. It's like a memory game. You know, you match the 2 cards, but there's extra layers to it. So, anyways, we played that. Moving on. Second setting, number 2 for me is Deadlands. Absolutely amazing. There's so much material, so much content. I had to get it in there. Deadlands, man, you can't beat it. There's so many good old style Westerns out that just once you watch them, you're like, I want to go play a Western. I want to go do something like that. And this adds that extra element of sort of like weird behind the scenes crazy. From the undead walking around and just sort of everything. And plus it also incorporates like something that you're sort of familiar with right out of the gate, which is it takes place on Earth, but in an altered Earth. So even if you don't read all the material that's there, you still know that there's some stuff that happens in Washington. There's things that happen in Texas. Mexico's on the map. They've never written any material for Canada or any of that stuff, so we'll have to get them on that. But you kind of get the gist of the world. Of course they did. Which one is it?
Great White North.
Is that all Canada? I thought that was Washington. I flipped through some of the beginning pages.
There's Canada in there. It's not all Canada, but there's Canada in there.
One of the things that I found out when I started my Deadlands campaign is that there's 4 books, and it's sort of like a tearaway of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So it's luck. It's just by sheer luck that I'm like, if I wanted to start a Deadlands campaign, where should I start? And somebody had mentioned that it's skipping my mind all of a sudden here. What's the first book in the series?
The Flood.
The Flood. Yeah, that's where you start. And the guy that you meet there, Grimes, he's like the first guy of the apocalypse. And then there's like 4 other ones, and then the whole setting, basically, you can play this gigantic story where there's like a whole book on just Grimes, a whole book on the other 3, and each of them then just sort of culminates in the last book that just recently came out, which is really, I like that idea. It's kind of neat. But yeah, cowboys and Indians, man, come on. I played a badass shaman in one game, Indian shaman, cowboys and Indians, bows and arrows. You don't really need to know much, which is pretty sweet. And then, of course, number one.
What's it going to be,
Big
ladies
surprise.
and gentlemen? Listen,
Oh my god, I can't wait.
Is it going to be Solomon Kane? Is it going to be Rippers? I don't even know. I am on the edge of my seat. Come on, Gary, reveal it.
I need a drum roll inserted here, but of course it's going to
Don't laugh at us to spit it out.
50 fathoms it is.
What?
No way.
No! Jesus!
It can't be.
We even tried to play that card with him during the con because we wanted him to come back to our table, play some games, and he didn't want to. So we told him we were going to play 50 Fathoms, and that didn't even work.
If you want to know why Gary likes 50 Fathoms so much, listen to any one of the other podcasts that we've made that's had Gary on them, and it will have some sort of rant about him talking about why it's so great. I mean, but there is a reason for that. It is a bloody awesome setting. So go on, Gary. Sorry.
No, it's all good. You can fluff it up all you like. I like that you're actually on board with the 50 fathoms.
I do like it. I've only ever played the one session of it that I did that was so not 50 fathoms. It's unbelievable. Aside from the fact that it was set on a boat.
Yeah, you put the twist on it. I'll tell you why 50 fathoms is fantastic. It's one book. It's all you need. You can play any pirate setting you want. It's one book. There's not a lot of reading to do. They have it's fantasy, like your Dungeons and Dragons. It's your elves, your orcs, your goblins, and all that fantasy kind of a game with pirates, and that's what makes it so awesome. There's so many like cool fantastical races. You got the dolphin people, like the seal people. There's different areas you can go to. You can also sort of treat this like a Rifts game, because the premise is the portals from different worlds, so you can get sucked in from Earth. You could literally like take any characters from any of the other worlds and have a reason, or like the excuse, I guess, to bring them into 50 fathoms and play some pirates and then shoot them back out. Because there's this whole portal thing going on if you read the setting. But who doesn't love pirates, man? And any adventure goes with it. You can write so much stuff. Pirates is another one of those things that there's just like a shiz ton of good pirate stuff that you can watch on TV. Black Sails, if you've never seen it, is just amazing for pirate stuff. Any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, they're all like just fodder for the 50 fathoms brain.
Hackers.
So yeah, you got your pirates, you got your cowboys, man. What else do you need? We're done.
All right, so I guess I'm up next.
Do it.
So thank you, Gary. Thank you. With your permission, I will. First of all, I'll give my honourable mentions. First of all, I wanted to talk about Winter Eternal. Now, the reason this isn't on my top 5, this is one of my most beloved settings for Savage Worlds, but the reason it isn't on my top 5 is because there is also a Pathfinder version of Winter Eternal available. And personally, I preferred my time with the Pathfinder version. I think it's really, really awesome in Pathfinder, and that's when I play Winter Eternal. I tend to play it in Pathfinder rather than Savage Worlds. I'm about to get a lot of backlash for that one, baby. Second is Savage Warhammer. I didn't think conversions were able to count in this list, so I didn't include it, but I really love Savage Warhammer, so yeah, that was awesome. And GarTar. Because GarTar is obviously the setting that Gary mentioned that he made up. That isn't really a setting. Let's do whatever the hell you want. But I still have such fond memories of that because that was just amazing fun. It was just do whatever the hell you want. Be a skeleton with a gun who has a magically refilling jug of hot sugary water that he throws at people. I had a 2 character concepts that came in mind for my next character, and it was either a sentient monster truck or Benjamin Frankenstein, and I haven't decided on either, and that's why GarTar is so much fun. So as for my top 5, number 5 is going to go to Darkhold Goblin Adventures. Now, this is only a 75-page rulebook, but the amount of lore and story that it manages to have in that 75 pages, I think, is very, very decent, and it is a really cool setting where you feel entirely completely weak. You play as goblins in this game, but you play as in contrast to Saga of the Goblin Horde that we've mentioned earlier, you play as very, very weak, pathetic goblins who tend to live in caves and stuff like this. You're meant to feel like the monsters that get killed by adventurers in your typical AD&D type game. And I think it really nails that feeling, and every time I've played it, I've had an absolute blast. So, yeah, absolutely love this book. Really good. And that was actually a gift that Gary sent me, so cheers for that, mate. Number 4, I'm going to go for Wonderland No More. I really, really enjoy this book. It's fantastic. It comes from Triple Ace Games, and it's so inventive with the way that it handles the Wonderland universe, and how instead of just translating Wonderland and then going and making a setting out of it, they've actually put their own spin on it and fast forwarded time a few years. It's got a really, really interesting plot point campaign, new spells and I've always said that I like new spells in games, and I think the ones in this are extremely inventive and really cool. The items are fantastic, the new races are awesome, new archetypes are amazing, the world is really, really different and creative for a fantasy or / fairy tale world, and the book is chock full of amazing stuff, so this is an absolute must buy in my opinion. Number 3 is going to be Solomon Kane. Now, this is one I've only played once, so sorry about that. But I just think I've read the book and it's so cool. I love dark fantasy, which is another reason I liked Savage Warhammer. So Solomon Kane was as a must-have. I really like the way magic works in this world. I really enjoy the atmosphere and the way characters are supposed to work in this world, and the sort of interaction between the DM and the players, the way the story works insofar as sort of the things that go bump in the night bumping back and the players having to seek them out. I think that it can be really, really, really interesting and dark if the players and the DM are willing to work together on a story. Do you know what I mean? If people aren't just going to be nuts. I don't know if my group are going to be able to handle this, because they tend to just go crazy. And I think it needs to be played seriously, which is going to be a struggle. But I don't know. We'll see. My number 2 is going to be Deadlands. Yeah. Controversial opinion, but I like Deadlands, alright? I think we've talked enough about this, but I will say that one of the things I thought about Deadlands was I see everybody on the Facebook and the Google Plus and stuff like this talking about Deadlands. Typing away there, Eric. We can hear you typing.
Oops, sorry.
It's all right. No, one of the things I heard about Deadlands all the time was that, I'm playing this pre-published module. I'm playing this pre-published module. The book's got all of this backstory and lore in it, and it's like that was all I ever heard about it. And I had the misconception, the reason I held off on playing it for so long was I had the misconception that Deadlands was something for people that weren't necessarily the most creative DM, that Deadlands was the sort of setting for people that wanted everything spelled out to them. And when I started playing it, I was so wrong about that, and I realised that it's an amazing setting if you want to make up your own stuff. It's so flexible, and even the pre-published modules demonstrate that too, because there's so much variety in the stuff you do. Like Eric said, there's steampunk, there's horror, there's investigation, there's action, there's everything in Deadlands, and that's why it's so fantastic. But the number 1 spot has to go to Saga of the Goblin Horde. Whenever I play a Savage Worlds game and I need a pick up and play game, I go to Saga of the Goblin Horde. It by far is the best setting for Savage Worlds. End of story. I don't care what anybody says. Go yourself. Sorry, I'm going to have to bleep that. But yeah, once again, you play as goblins, but in this, it has a very different feel to Darkhold Goblin Adventures. In this, you're goblin bosses and you have minions underneath you, and this has already been mentioned, but this is just absolute cathartic, cartoonish fun. And the way the adventures that come with the game have been written, I've never ever felt the urge to go and do my own stuff with this game, and that just is a testament to how well the adventures that come with this game are written. They are spectacular, and the world in this is so brilliant, Saturday morning cartoon unique that it's always fun, and it's something anyone that plays this can appreciate. And there are so few RPGs that are like that, and that's why I appreciate Saga of the Goblin Horde so much, and that's why it's my favourite Savage Worlds setting. And it's free as well, so that puts it up there for me. That's why I can recommend it to anyone.
And it's available on Drive-Thru RPG now. So.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, that's my list, baby. Suck it. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Nice segue.
So, Manuel, how about you, man?
I was about to ask if I don't get somebody introducing me, but yeah.
I will always introduce you, Manuel. I love you.
So yeah, I also went only with published settings from official licensees, because otherwise the list would have looked a bit different. So I'm just going to put those into the honorable mentions. So my honorable mentions from the non-licensees are obviously Saga of the Goblin Horde. I've been a playtester for quite a while now. And Richard is not also an absolutely amazing guy to work with, but he also imagined one of the coolest goblin settings I've ever had the pleasure of playing. So yeah, if you haven't played Saga of the Goblin Horde by now, get on DTRPG and just download a free copy of it. It's gonna blow your fucking mind. My other honorable mention would be something none of you ever brought up. So my awesome Savage Shadowrun conversion. No, I'm not going down that road. No, forget it. Nope, not gonna mention
Okay,
it.
I played 3 sessions of that. I'm gonna quickly go over it now. That was spectacular. But I didn't think conversions were counted. But yes, everyone should check out Savage Shadowrun's 2nd edition that Manuel made. It is unbelievably amazing, and it manages to capture the feeling of Shadowrun. And you worked for a very good many years on that. But we did make a whole episode about it, Manuel.
How much more spotlight do you need?
Yeah, do you want another one?
Yeah, we need at least 3 more episodes until I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Now we've got that on record. Let's move on. So my other honorable mentions would be Sundead Skies. I'm at the moment playing the Plot Point campaign with a table group, and it's a really fun setting with some really, really cool twists on the world building, on the races. No elves. Well, technically they are elves, but they are kind of plant beings, so I don't think they really count, and everybody hates them anyway, so yeah, no traditional elves. And the Plot Point campaign is just amazingly written and has really, really great material, awesome twists in it. It's really fun. It never gets boring, even for 1 session. Second honorable mention would be War of the Dead, because it's one of the few settings for Savage Worlds that almost manages to get away with not having arcane backgrounds in it. It says that it technically doesn't have arcane backgrounds, but it allows them to be in there for, I think, psionics and miracles if the GM rules that they would fit into the way he wants to run his campaign. And then there's just this amazing campaign spanning over 4 huge chapters. So if you want to play that, you better plan in, I think, about 2 years, because you're not going to finish that in just a few months of time. There's really so much published stuff for it, and takes a really good look at how people would react to the world ending from zombies, and then just throws you in the middle and it's like, yeah, have fun, survive. Yeah, everything and everyone is out to kill you. Bye-bye. Was really fun to read, and I hope I get to play that sometime. So yeah, my official list. Number 5 has already been mentioned. It's also Low Life. I had the pleasure of playing it once, and it's just hilariously funny and over the top. I played a cockroach, a sentient cockroach that had the weird science arcane background, and basically what he had like a little box filled with springs that were just wound up really tight, and whenever he panicked, he just open the box into the face of somebody attacking him, which was a trapping for the blast power, I believe. And we killed so many crustaceans, and by the end of the session, I could smell the citrus flavor from all the crustacean corpses we left behind. So number 4 on my list is Tropicana, which is, it kind of packs a setting, but I view it more as a framework to have adventures in some of my favorite TV show settings. Like you could run Charlie's Angels with it. You can run Miami Vice with it. You could technically play A-Team with it if you just apply a setting rule that all the people who get incapacitated are not dead. They are just down and out for the count. So yeah, that's what you can do with Tropicana, and it gives you this amazing toolkit to generate missions and to build up your own crime fighting organization. Or you could possibly, with a bit of work, you could just turn it around and play like maybe like a drug cartel and use the mission generator to just take out your opposition. And that's packed into a very nicely designed book with really cool artwork. So yeah, really like it, and I'm looking forward to playing that. Number 3 is Rippers in both incarnations, both the old Rippers and Rippers Resurrected. Right this moment, I'm playing the old Rippers plot point campaign, but with the rules from Rippers Resurrected for a table group. And it's a really great setting and a really great campaign. I'm a really big fan of some of a bit trashy movies like the Van Helsing movie with Hugh Jackman. And if you've seen that movie, you know what Rippers is all about. It's about a serious kind of setting, but the twist is done in a kind of humorous way. So you are going to laugh, and the next minute you are going to roll on a table to see if your character finally snaps and murders everyone around him because he has implanted too many stuff ripped out of horrible creatures into his body. And yeah, that's basically Rippers, and that's a twist I really, really enjoyed DMing. So number 2 would be The Blackwood. And I'm not saying that just because Eli Kurtz made me a stretch goal in the Kickstarter campaign. I basically agreed to be a stretch goal in the Kickstarter campaign because I think this setting is absolutely amazing. It's a really cool twist on all the old folklore stuff that's out there, and elves and basically the Fey folk being what they are in old folklore, like being basically the bad guys in their own kind of twisted way. They wouldn't necessarily see themselves as bad, but they are just these alien entities where you have no idea how their thought processes work because they are not human. And he captures that whole concept very, very well in the book. And well, also the whole idea about the Blackwood being a place where humans walk, but they are not necessarily welcome. And it takes some effort to keep the pathways clear and safe for humans to walk. It's okay in the settlements, but once you leave and you step into the wood, you are out of your comfort zone and you are far away from safety. And the mechanics he worked into that, besides all the awesome and amazing lore, really capture that feeling that once you step outside the walls of your settlement, you are in danger. But you are also a warden. It's your job to keep the ways, to walk the ways margin and to keep the way safe. And he really captured that absolutely brilliantly. And it allows me to play with a lot of the German folklore I learned as a child and just generate adventures out of that with the help of the adventure generator from the book. So yeah, amazingly done, and I highly recommend you check that out if that kind of fantasy is your thing. And my top spot is East Texas University, because I'm a sucker for a good modern setting, and this one is a modern setting that doesn't go absolutely over the top. It has the perfect blend of bringing horror into a modern world where there's smartphones, where there's internet, and still nobody's going to bloody believe you, even if you can manage to bring the chupacabra back into the university lab and dissect it. And yeah, ETU really manages to capture that flavor of personal and modern day horror very, very well. And also the plot point campaign and also all the additional adventure material supplied for it is really well written. The design, the artwork, absolutely spot on. So yeah, East Texas University, go Ravens. Yeah, that would be my list.
Yo, motherfuckers, you all best back up. I always got a gun, I always come strap up. This ain't a game of pool, it ain't no time for no rack up. It's the motherfucking time for the motherfucking wrap up. Anyone who disagrees will get smack up. See me back in school when I shouldn't have learned to add up. I found a gun on the floor, instead I picked that up. Anyway, sorry, I'm motherfucking back up. What I'm trying to say is it's time for the wrap up. Yeah, this one goes out to all the ladies and all the men out there. Everyone in the front row, grease up. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, all in all, I think they were good lists. What do you think, guys? Good lists? So hopefully anyone listening has learned some new settings and hopefully learned a bit about some settings they were curious about buying and stuff like that. Good list, guys. Well done. Well done. Gary, so I'm glad you changed it from your original draft that just said 50 Fathoms 4 times, then Deadlands.
After hearing you guys talk about the different settings and stuff like that, I'd have to say that I actually might go back and change. I don't know if I want to change it or just add to it, but ETU I would definitely have to put on there because I agree. Like when we first started the Fighting Ravens, some of the first adventures that we got into where we were in like the theater or the sports arena and stuff, where when Jamie Pearson was DMing them, were just so fantastic. Like I could see everything in my mind, which is one of the things that I like about it too. Like, you can imagine yourself being behind the bleachers and stuff's happening, and things always happened in places where there wasn't a lot of people looking. So it didn't like you're saying it doesn't matter if you bring the thing back and put it on the table. Someone will be like, well, that's just a dog that was caught in a fire kind of a thing, right? Like you're always getting, but ETU, man, was a surpriser for me. I didn't know if I'd like it, but wow. When I got into it, it was like, damn, this is really good. There's a lot of neat, fun stuff to do in that book too.
I've played it once, and being quite an anti-American kind of guy, I don't like Americans; they suck. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is about it, I never thought that I would enjoy playing one because I thought I would hate myself. But the thing is, actually, it's a really enjoyable setting. No, I should probably tell people that I'm joking. No, East Texas University is a hell of a lot of fun, and Americans are great people. But one thing I wanted to ask is. Shut up! Stop it! You make it sound like I'm being disingenuous.
Harrison,
we all know you're racist.
I'm not racist. It's only the Portuguese I don't like, and we all know they don't even count as a race. So tell me this, Eric, the Lankmar box set. What comes in it? I'm really intrigued because I've been buying up Lankmar left, right, and centre.
Yeah, they're the three main books. Nice. Then you get a nice GM screen, which is really low. It's like half the height of your standard GM screen.
Yes.
And it's all very thick cardboard, so it's sturdy. And I like the information on it too, just like the spells, the setting rules are on it. So there's chase rules, that type of thing. So
I like a good low screen so you can actually lean over and move minis and stuff.
Yep, and you could also sit down because if I use a screen, which I usually do for cheat sheets on my side, and sometimes to hide minis so that people don't know what's coming. But so that means I usually stand up when I run games, and this I could actually sit down, but I think I'm still gonna stand up because I prefer that. And then in the screens you get an adventure, a mini plot point campaign for 4 plot points, and then of course in one of the three main books you get 10 or 11 Savage Tales. So with those two you could run a whole campaign and not have to buy anything, but you can make up your own stuff too, which is really cool. And then comes with a map, double-sided map.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And of Lankmar, beautiful map, totally beautiful map. and it came with bennies, 20 bennies. They're really beautiful too, orange, and with the images in the middle, and a set of dice. The dice are really, really sweet too, like a marbled gray, brownish, like earth tones to it, and a different wild die to it, a symbol, some runes on it. So very sweet, very nice set.
So you're a lucky boy.
Yeah, and the box itself too. Yeah, I'm very lucky. Thank you, Gary. And
you mentioned it enough times. It's like every time somebody said something to you, you're like, oh, I'm not buying that till I get the Lankmar box setting. I'm not getting that till I get Lankmar. Now you got no excuses, bro. Happy.
And now I gotta get the other ones, the Rippers one, which looks really cool. But yeah, the box itself, it's a very sturdy box, and it comes with a slip-on cover of Lankmar. But if you wanted to, you could just use the box to carry your Savage World stuff around to your game or whatever, you know.
Man, that sounds very sexy.
You don't have any other box sets already? Like you didn't have the Riffs box set or?
No, I didn't. That was my first box set. Yeah, talking about this, Gary brought the Riffs box set with him, and we got it signed by Sean Patrick Fannin. So for the contest, reminder, December 1st is the deadline. You send us a synopsis of your idea for a one-sheet setting, and the 3 winners will get their one-sheets written by us, produced, the layout by Manuel, and the writing, well, we'll figure that out probably between Harrison and I. Maybe Gary will do one. We'll see. And so, yeah, we've received quite a few entries, but if you just email us at thewilddie@gmail.com, and the 3 winners will be selected. Third prize is your one sheet. Second prize, a $20 gift certificate to Drive-Thru RPG. And number 1 is the Savage Riffs box set signed by Sean Patrick Fannin, emailed to you right in time for Christmas. How about that?
We're going to email that to you, not the actual box. We're just going to take a picture of the box and email that to you.
So if you want to get in contact with us, you can email us at thewilddie@gmail.com, or you can get in contact with us at Google Plus at the Wild Die Podcast, and you can go over to the Nerds International community and meet us over there, or many other different podcasts such as the Tabletop Twats, which is a great one to listen to. And of course, the Twitter is at The Wild Die. And if you wish to contribute to the show, you can do so www.patreon.com/The Wild Die.
The Wild Die Podcast would like to thank the following patrons: Sean Richard, Sovia, Tony Fanning, Rob Tao, John Peterson, Manuel Sands, David Maurice, Garrett, James Clark, Peter Beckett, Peter Adams, Tom Lewis, Perry Chalmers, Digital Dungeon Master, Stephen Dragonspawn, Eli Kurtz, Matthew J. Hanson, Ronson Beats, Matt Stark, John Steve, Pure Muggle, Owen Lean, Andy Hall, and Christopher Gray, and of course, Bubbles. Cannot forget Bubbles.
Yeah, that was the fastest one besides the Frozen Skies one. All right.
Well, we don't bring that one up. We don't ever bring that episode up because.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. And this is Eric saying, if your name is Gary and you fail your persuasion roll, well, roll again.
And this is Harrison saying, grapple the skies.
This is Manuel saying, if 50 fathoms fall in the Blackwood, is there Solomon Kane there to make the lands even more dead?
Nice.
Ooh, sweet. Well done, sir. Well done. All right, get your entries in for that Savage Riffs box, man. Come on. This is Gary saying, keep your pants on. Keep it fun. Thanks, everyone. We're out.
The Wild Die Podcast is not affiliated with or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group or official Pinnacle licensees. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of the respected owners. All music and artwork is used with permission of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Wild Die Podcast.